Welcome to Man in America, a voice of reason in a world gone mad. I'm your host, Seth Holhouse. A big part of what I really enjoy doing on this show is challenging our beliefs about the world around us. Because for one, I believe that we live in a world that is filled with layer upon layer upon layer of lies, psychological operations, and hidden information. But on the other hand, I believe that there's so much powerful information that we can still find access to if we do the digging. And my guest today is one of my favorite guests, especially when it comes to anything to do with the human body and medicine, and it's Dr. Bryan Ardis. And one of the reasons why I enjoy speaking with him is that he is a digger. He will dig into information. And so today's show, we're going to be going back to over 600 years of research about something that is so demonized today and so feared. It's nicotine in tobacco. And honestly, I would feel very comfortable saying that now maybe you've already learned a lot about nicotine and tobacco, but for the average person, that almost everything that you know about tobacco and about nicotine is actually a lie. And we're going to be looking back into what doctors were saying about nicotine and tobacco, back in the 1400s. And what I also enjoy about Bryan is that he brings his receipts. So I hope you can enter into this with an open mind. And I think you're going to learn a lot of crazy things that you never imagined about the tobacco industry, about the Rockefellers, about big pharma, and about how this plant was being used for hundreds and hundreds of years to cure almost everything that you could possibly imagine. So please enjoy the show with Dr. Bryan Ardis. Ladies and gentlemen, our world is being poisoned. Every day we're exposed to more chemicals sprayed into our skies, leaching into our food, and polluting our air and water. From pesticides and heavy metals to hormone disruptors and synthetic additives, these toxins are bombarding our bodies and silently destroying our health. But there's something you can do to fight back, and it starts in your gut. Kimchi One from Brightcore Nutrition contains over 900 strains of beneficial probiotics that will help flush toxins, restore gut balance, and support your immune system. Because when your gut is strong, your body can resist. You'll feel the difference. Better digestion, more energy, clearer thinking, stronger immunity, and even improvements in your skin, hair, and metabolism. And this isn't just hype. Studies show that fermented foods like kimchi can reduce the risk of obesity, improve blood sugar, and support whole body wellness. Kimchi One is all natural, non-GMO, dairy-free, gluten-free, and 100% made in the USA by a company that actually cares about your health. And today, you can get an exclusive offer just for my viewers, 25% off with your code MANINAMERICA by clicking the link below. Or call my friends at Brightcore for up to 50% off your order and free shipping. So give them a call now at 888-575-6488, and their educated staff will make sure that Kimchi One is right for you. Again, that's 888-575-6488. All the links and information are in the description below. Dr. Bryan Ardis. It's always just so much fun to have you on the show. I learned so much. You're like dropping truth bombs from a B-57 over America and over the whole world. And it's great to have you here, man. So thank you for being here.
I'm so thrilled and honored, Seth, to be hanging out with you again. Man in America platform's amazing, and love your family, love you, and hope that everybody at home is having a great day and a great time as you are listening or watching this presentation. I'm excited to be hanging out with you again, Seth.
It's great. I mean, how could you not be having a good time listening on this conversation? Maybe some people, they're offended by it. Maybe they're offended by beards, and that's pushing them away. But anyway, we're going to have some fun, uncensored, no holds barred, right?
Unscripted, organic conversation here. How about that?
Exactly. So
you will not find this actual dialogue being replayed on every newscast all around the country, like every newscast does, right? They all play the same exact thing, read the exact same words. You will not find that here, nor, we might as well make an announcement, this is not being brought to you by Pfizer, and it has not been approved, whatever we say, by the FDA, just so you know.
Just so you know. Okay. So I'm sure we're going to get into a lot of things, but the first thing I want to get into is nicotine. I know we've done a lot of shows about it, but it's one of those topics that has been demonized so heavy for so long that it's almost like if you've been, say, taking a really, really bad drug for 30 years, you can't detox it in one day or one session. It might take a lot longer to get it out of the system. And so what we're doing is we're detoxing people from the propaganda they've been fed for a very, very, very long time. And sometimes it takes more than one session. So over to you, nicotine. Where do you want to start?
Yeah. So, number one place to start. Let's ask a few questions that I think even audience members may be asking themselves, right? So, I think from anybody, I love studying public speaking, how to be an effective public speaker. One of the greatest lessons I learned early on as a teenager was to be an effective public speaker, which hopefully there's a public watching this and listening. As the public watches and listens, I learned a long time ago that you need to know your audience. So let's put myself in the place of the audience. So, nicotine. What is it if I walked on any street corner like Jay Leno used to do with his late night show and go ask questions of anybody around America or on the streets of Hollywood? Let's just pretend I'm doing that. And if I walked up to anybody in America, anybody of any age, and just said, nicotine is, and just asked that question, left it open, nicotine is, I would bank that 95% of all of you hear the word nicotine, see the word nicotine, and the next words that are projected into your mind and in your hearts is highly addictive. And this is what is called programming. We've all been programmed and conditioned to hear specific words, have specific thoughts following a specific word. So this is no different than, Seth, if I did the exact same thing with you. You and I were walking down the streets of Beverly Hills and we said, vaccines are, and just left it open.
Safe and
There's only
effective.
three words. There's only three words people are going to say, and you just said it, safe and effective. So why do these really short phrases seem to automatically come up in our minds? It's because you have been programmed and you have seen it a million times. If you see tobacco products, if you see nicotine, the next words you are going to see accompanying that word on a label or on a billboard or in a radio commercial is going to be nicotine is a highly addictive substance. That's all. So when I say, I know what you're thinking, it's because I had the same thinking for the first 45 years of my life, and I'm only 48. So that means 3 years ago, something changed. Well, what changed? What would have changed the narrative for me from thinking anything other than nicotine is addictive? Because they want you to think that's the only thing about nicotine. So you've been all programmed. We've all been brainwashed to using techniques from Operation Mockingbird, actually, if y'all haven't studied that, to convince and control the masses who are watching or listening to your language. So that's basically all that is. Propaganda is what it's called. So I know all of you 100% are going to battle during this conversation. You're going to hear the word nicotine, and I'm going to talk about other aspects of nicotine that have nothing to do with addictive nature or quality. We're going to talk about all of its health benefits. And that is going to be quite a difficult hearing for your ears at this moment and for your mind. But I need to say something. Since 1492 to 1860, that's 400 years, I can show you medical textbooks that cover the use of tobacco and nicotine in medical journals and medical studies and clinical lab studies where they use tobacco and nicotine to cure all kinds of medical diseases for 400 years. I have the medical textbooks. In fact, on my website, the Dr. Ardis Show, I actually a month ago did a presentation, Seth. It was a brand new presentation titled, Why Big Pharma is bribing all governments of the world. Right there. You see why Big Pharma? It's the second one right there. Why Big Pharma hates. Look at the title. Why Big Pharma is bribing governments around the world to ban tobacco and nicotine products. And this was an incredible presentation because I found a medical textbook from 2012 that a medical researcher had compiled all the known ways in which the tobacco plant and nicotine were published in what year to cure which medical diseases. Keep going down. These are what you're looking at on the screen right now is out of this PowerPoint. Look, stay right there. What I'm highlighting is the number one lobbying industry in 2024. Lobbying means to bribe government officials with money or gifts to get them to do things on your behalf for your company, your industry, or your person. So the number one highest lobbying industry last year in America, who bribed government officials in America to do things on their behalf, was the pharmaceutical industry. They paid $295 million, Seth Holhouse, to all of our elected officials in Washington, D.C. to do stuff for the drug companies. Okay? Now, that's the lobbying power. Now, what you're looking at right now is I dive into what were the top 10 pharmaceutical drugs sold worldwide in 2024. The very first highest revenuing drug for the entire largest lobbying industry in the world last year is a drug called Keytruda. Right now on the screen, you're seeing the drug companies by name that made the most money last year, and Pfizer was number one in the whole world. But if you keep going down on this PowerPoint presentation, keep going. These are the drugs that bring in the most pharma revenue. You'll see cancer drugs are number one. Keep going down. This is 2024. Let's keep going. This is the highest revenuing drug in the whole world last year. Most of you don't even know what it's called. It's called Keytruda.
Never heard of it.
It's a cancer drug made by Merck. Its revenue was almost twice as high as the second highest grossing drug in the entire world last year. Number two, if you keep going down, number two is actually one you will be familiar with. Ozempic. So Ozempic is number two last year. It did almost $17 billion a year. What I am about to highlight after I show all of you the top 10 money-making drugs for Big Pharma, who is also the number one largest industry bribing our governments to make decisions on our behalf as citizens. What I'm about to show you is every one of the top 10 drugs, Seth, sold last year. I show you what the revenue was for 2024. I show you what each of the top 10 drugs, including Eliquis here for heart disease. I show you every drug that made the most money for Big Pharma last year. And then I show you in the little red box what that drug is prescribed for, Seth Holhouse. I show you in this PowerPoint, as you keep going down, I show you that medicine and the pharmaceutical industry has known for 500 years that every single one of the conditions, that every one of these drugs you're looking at are used to treat and make billions of dollars for the Big Pharma. Did you know that every one of the conditions that the top 10 drugs sold in the entire world are all cured with tobacco? And all of it is referenced in this medical textbook called Medical History, a history of the medicinal use of tobacco from 1492 to 1860. And in this book, I can show you every year that they have published by orthodox medicine. And I show you this is not like folk medicine. This is traditional orthodox medicine. How conventional medicine has known for 500 years now, since 1492, that tobacco is the panacea, the cure-all for all human diseases. And if you read that statement there, if you can read that there, tobacco is probably the
tobacco is probably the only plant which was ever used as the panacea of panaceas.
Now, I'm going to define for you what panacea means. Keep going down. So, medical doctors called this the panacea of panaceas. What does the word panacea mean? I had to go look it up.
It's the remedy for all remedies, of all remedies, right? The cure of all cures, right?
That's right. That's right. Keep going down. I make sure you read it. All right, read it. Look at there. You see it and highlight it. It's defined as, namely, for all diseases, a remedy for all difficulties, a cure-all. So for 500 years, tobacco, the plant, has been known as a cure-all for all diseases. But when you look at all plants and all cures that are considered panaceas, for 400 plus years, conventional medicine has called the tobacco plant the panacea of all panaceas. Now, here is a summary of all the years in which they call this the panacea doctrine in Orthodox medicine.
So are these quotes from doctors over the years?
Yes, from starting back in the 1500s.
Wow. So like 1520, okay, 1500, So fumo, smoke, cures many ailments in which the skill of doctors is fruitless. It kills many other ailments. 1524, smoke heals any ailment. 1571, sana sacta, which I'm sure is some sort of Latin word for tobacco, perhaps, cures a list of 48 diseases and much else. 1572, tobacco being hailed as a panacea. Here we go. 1579, the herb is holy. 1582, the herb is of divine origin. 1586, a panacea for all sorts of ailments. Here's 1588, the Indians of Virginia who use, I'm guessing that's the word for tobacco, are notably preserved in health and know not many grievous diseases wherewithal people in England are oftentimes afflicted.
I mean, look at 1621.
1621, a sovereign remedy, a virtuous herb. 1622, a plant of God's own making, good for every condition. Well, here's 1633, tobacco would cure all the best known diseases. It was a jewel. If he should set down at large all the ailments that tobacco would cure, it would require a big volume. I mean, this is here, 1659. Panacea as the universe or the universal medicine. 1665, all ages, sexes, all constitutions, young and old, men and women, the sanguine, the choleric, the melancholy, the phlegmatic, take tobacco without any manifest inconvenience. Man, this is...
Look at 1668 there.
The use of snuff improved the whole body. Again,
not just parts, the whole
whole body.
All right, so I just highlighted one of those because I was like, y'all got to see this, man.
Yeah, 1614, eulogized tobacco, said that every part was medicine, root, stalk, leaves, seeds, smoking ashes, cured almost all diseases.
Look at that. Okay, do you want to know why Big Pharma, the largest bribing lobbying industry in the world, is telling all governments around the world to ban and get people to distrust tobacco?
Holy smokes. Funny, maybe that has some sort of tobacco origin, even the saying holy smokes, right? Holy smoke, right?
Holy smokes, exactly right. That's hilarious, Seth. All right,
oh my goodness.
Is this fun for you? This is fun for me.
This is a blast. Like this, I would do this on my weekends all day if I had the time to. This is amazing.
Amazing to me. All right, so this is just a summary of some of the years in which it was published by medical research scientists. So here you go. Now, if you zoom out, you'll see here, I'm going to start walking audiences through in this same textbook. Look at that. This is Keytruda, the #1 selling drug in the whole world last year, made $30 billion. Go to the next slide. I'm going to highlight what it's for. It's for cancer. Now look to the right. Out of the same medical history book on tobacco, look to the right is the screenshot of the years orthodox medicine, conventional medicine published. Tobacco was a cure for all cancers and cancerous growths.
As early as 1560, that was being published as tobacco as a cure for cancer.
Yeah. Do you think Merck, who sells Keytruda $30 billion in 12 months for cancer, do you think they want any governments around the world promoting and allowing tobacco to be bought?
Well, because the thing is,
Dr. Ardis to talk on Seth Holhouse's platform about the health benefits of tobacco.
Exactly, because you could grow this plant in your own backyard, and then you could
zoom
dry
into
it.
That right side. Zoom into that right side, Seth. You got to show these people this. This is inside the book. They show you the years published by medical journals and by medical doctors, the use of tobacco and nicotine getting the credit in these years, what years they found tobacco cures all of these conditions.
Incredible.
I'm only putting these side by side from that book, that textbook, medical textbook. You'll see that this is tumors. They knew that tumors of any kind in the body or on the body could be cured with tobacco. 1851, 1597, these were all published. I mean, they've known this for 300, 400 years now. They do not want you knowing this. They want you getting chemo, radiation, and surgery. Gosh. They don't want you knowing tobacco has been known to do this. All right, go to Ozempic. This is awesome. Okay, let's go to the next one is Ozempic, #2. Go down. Next slide. The next highest revenuing drug worldwide was Ozempic. Ozempic, zoom into Ozempic. Nope, go to the left. Zoom in there. I actually, from this article, show you what it's prescribed for.
Obesity, type 2
obesity.
diabetes, cardiovascular risk reduction in diabetes patients.
Good. So let's stay with obesity. We know that Ozempic is promoted for obesity and hunger regulating. So go to the right now. Let's see. Did they say anything about tobacco curing and preventing obesity? Oh
In
my God,
1614.
they've known tobacco prevents obesity since 1614. Go to the next slide because I'm not done with Ozempic and tobacco.
Okay, so next slide.
No,
Here we go. Hunger,
Look at this.
preventative agent, as early as 1457.
Look at all the decades.
My goodness.
Those are all the decades that they have published in medical journals, highlighted by medical doctors and scientists around the world, that tobacco helps to prevent hunger and overeating, which is what Ozempic's promoted for, by the way, a hunger-regulating Gila monster venom.
Oh my goodness, that leaves you blind.
Yep, that leaves you blind. Yep. Now let's go to Eliquis. This is you see this non-vascular atrial fibrillation. This is a heart issue. All right, so these are heart problems, heart arrhythmias. There's no way tobacco can benefit the heart, can it? Well, if you go down to the next slide, I'm going to show you out of the book. These are all your chest afflictions. Where's your heart? It's in your chest. Now I just highlight these, but they're going to get into cardiovascular here in just a second. So here's your chest afflictions in all the years.
Incredible.
Pain in the chest, which is what they tell you about heart attacks. Yeah, we'll keep going. What about aches in the lungs? We're going to stay with the chest because they're talking about
pulmonary
atrial fibrillation in the lungs and in the chest from the heart. So I'm going to go through this textbook and show you every year conventional medicine knows that anything related to the chest, atrial fibrillation, chest pain, arrhythmias, you name it, they know tobacco will cure. Keep going down.
Wait, hold on real quick. This. In 1633, they discovered that tobacco can cure flatulence. That's pretty impressive. I wonder where Beano is on the profit list. They're threatening the fart prevention industry with tobacco.
Did you know that they took people? You'll see it on this PowerPoint. So now I'm going to stick with Eliquis because they're talking about heart conditions here. I want you to go to the right. This is a very recent research study about tobacco and heart disease. I want you to read out loud. This is all about tobacco, this entire research paper. Just read the highlighted sentences.
Okay. So it says, tobacco is a popular plant in human history and economy, and it is a notable fumitory plant. I'm guessing it means it's a plant commonly smoked. It says, in addition to the alkaloid nicotine, tobacco contain other major phytochemicals such as flavonoid tannins, saponins, terpenoids, cardiac glycosides, phenols, steroids, polypeptides, resins, etc. These bioactive substances have a number of biological activities, including antimicrobial, antibacterial, antifungal, antiviral, antioxidant, antithelmintic, nociceptive, yep.
That prevents dementia.
Anti-Alzheimer's, peripheral nervous system activities, central nervous system, and cardiovascular system activities. And this was published on the International Journal of Applied Science Research.
Yeah, so let's just break it down. Okay, did you not just read how tobacco has all these components and nutrients inside of it? They even name what they are. And then they start telling you what are all the health benefits of these different constituents inside the tobacco plant. If you go one by one, Seth, let's start over with that second sentence there. I'm sorry, the sentence after all the nutrients are named.
Yeah, so it says various parts of Nicotina tabacum, such as roots, stems, leaves, flowers, fruits, and seeds, are used in traditional medicine in the treatment of various human ailments such as skin diseases, bronchitis, asthma, ulcers, piles, worms, dysmenorrhea, constipation, gastrointestinal disorders, hydrocele, anthralgia, gout, lumbago, etc. Therefore, the aim of this article is to comprehensively review the phytochemical properties, pharmacological activities, and entomedical uses of tobacco reported worldwide prior to the end of 2020.
So I want you to understand and put yourself, Seth, in the position of pharmaceutical executives and those in charge of stockholder profits.
Yes.
The sentence underlined in the middle of the paragraph where it starts with the benefits of these constituents inside of tobacco leaves and tobacco plants. Its benefits include antimicrobial, antibacterial. How much money does the pharmaceutical industry make off of antibiotics that are antibacterial? How much money do they make off of drugs they call antivirals, like remdesivir? Read the statement. It even includes antiviral, antifungal, anti-helminthic. Do you know what that is? Helminth is a tapeworm. That means tobacco kills parasites. So how much ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, fenbendazole are being sold around the world and prescribed when in fact tobacco's been known to be anti-parasitic for all parasites for 500 years. Oh, anti-Alzheimer's? Oh, it even says it's also for cardiovascular benefits and activities. They're telling you here in 2012, we know that the nutrients inside of the tobacco plant also help support cardiovascular health. Well, Eliquis, the third most revenuing drug worldwide for the pharmaceutical industry, is an attempt from a synthetic compound called Eliquis to change your heart rhythm, when in fact tobacco has been known to correct your heart rhythm for 500 years. Are you starting to understand why 200 countries right now, Seth, are being bribed by pharmaceutical giants to ban tobacco products and to ban all nicotine products? Because it is nicotine for 500 years now, known to science, that is the thing responsible inside the tobacco plant for reversing cancers, preventing hunger, preventing obesity, and reversing heart disease, and all the other ones that are in there. Psoriasis is included. Oh, don't even get me started here. I'm going to show you the fifth revenuing source of all money for the pharmaceutical companies in this document is vaccines.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And you're gonna get in this PowerPoint, you're gonna get to the point where I start talking about vaccines, and I show you in the medical textbook about tobacco curing all the diseases that they have vaccines for. You're gonna see chicken pox is cured by tobacco, smallpox is cured by tobacco, tetanus. All of you are told you need to be updated on a tetanus shot because all of you are going to be with Seth Holhouse and his team riding a bicycle. You're going to fall off in the morning. You're going to land on a rusty nail somewhere randomly in the woods, and you are going to need a tetanus shot. Did you know tetanus has been known for 400 years to be cured with tobacco?
Crazy.
And not just tobacco smoke cures anyone of tetanus. In fact, I show a reference in this presentation that they take tobacco with a woman who has tetanus bacteria in her brain, and this is not a joke. I show you the reference and the quote in this PowerPoint. Oh, stay right here, right there. Stop. I highlight right there vaccines. Do you see that? The drugs that bring in the most pharma revenue. Now,
Yep.
Before I go any further, hold on. I'm going to stay on tetanus here because we'll show it here in just a second. But there's a year in the 1800s where they take a woman who has tetanus, it's called tetanus bacteria, in the brain, and she's going to die. And a medical doctor in Europe decides to take tobacco, the panacea of panaceas, and blow smoke into her vagina to treat the tetanus in the brain, and it cured her of tetanus in the brain.
Wow.
All right, so
here
we go.
What's interesting is that. So actually, let me see if I can find it real quick. Let me just do a quick search as we're talking. But the vintage ads for cigarettes featuring doctors, right? With let me just pull it up real quick, because it's interesting because we look at those things now. Okay, like here we go. Here's this. I pulled up a Google search. As your dentist, I would recommend Viceroys, right? 20,000 physicians say Luckies are less irritating. More doctors smoke Camels than any other cigarette. So here we go. Smoke a cigarette, Camels, right? Here's a give your throat a vacation. Smoke a fresh cigarette. Now, what's interesting is that we look back at these things and we use those as proof that, yeah, doctors can get it wrong. Look how doctors used to recommend cigarettes. But I'm wondering if all those doctors actually knew what we're talking about. So a lot of these ads are probably from like the 40s and 50s and so, but it was before this massive propaganda campaign had come in to demonize cigarettes. I mean, what do you think about that?
Yeah, the timing as you look at this medical textbook on the medical history of tobacco and all of its curative properties for all diseases that I just summarized in this presentation, you notice the dates go up to 1860 because I continue the conversation in that book. You can continue going. They talk about how the American Medical Association, the pharmaceutical industry, starts to demonize tobacco starting in the 19 teens. And what's interesting is, when did Abraham Flexner's report get published, paid for by Carnegie's Foundation and Rockefeller Foundation? That was in 1910.
Interesting.
And what was Abraham Flexner told to remove from all curriculum in medical schools in Canada and America in 1910?
You've probably heard me talk about the importance of being prepared, and that includes having access to life-saving medicine when you need it. That's why I want to tell you about ReliableMedicines.com. They offer affordable, prescription-based meds like ivermectin, fenbendazole, hydroxychloroquine, essential antibiotics, and more, all shipped directly to your door quickly and discreetly. There's no runaround, no waiting in line, no begging your doctor. Shipping is fast, usually 7 to 15 days, and their support team is available 24/7 if you need anything. I've used them myself, and I can tell you, this is the kind of resource every family should have on hand. And just for my listeners and viewers, you can use the promo code MIA15 at checkout to get 15% off your order. So head over to ReliableMedicines.com or just click the link in the description and stock up on life-saving medications while you still can. Again, that's ReliableMedicines.com using the promo code MIA15. So this goes back to the Rockefellers and Carnegie. And because of course they're bringing in their modern pharmaceutical industry, and they knew that if everyone could cure themselves with an herb that most people could grow or you could easily obtain, is highly they couldn't patent just a plant you're growing. So okay,
wait, stay there. Plant you're growing. Well, what's the plant? We're talking about tobacco. So they know they couldn't do that with tobacco, and they're trying to sell drugs based on petroleum. All right, go up a couple slides here. Stay with anti-rheumatism. Keep going up where we start with that. Okay, stay there. Stay right there.
Yeah, here.
Right
Anti-rheumatics. Rheumatics, okay?
Okay. Yes, right there. I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. All right, so look. So the 5th highest revenuing group or category of pharmaceutical drugs last year was anti-rheumatics. So rheumatism is defined as swelling in your joints, pain in your joints. Okay, look to the right. If the 5th highest revenuing drug source is anti-joint pain drugs, well, just last year in 2024, look at all the years they knew that rheumatism was cured with tobacco alone. People around the world, Seth, walk up to me every week they'll lift up their shirts, roll up their sleeves to show me their nicotine patches, and then they say this 90% of the time out of their mouth, every single person. Dr. Ardis, I've been using the nicotine patches. All my arthritis pain is gone all over my body just within a few days. And I'm never going to stop doing it. And I'm like, this is amazing. Nicotine is 4 times more anti-inflammatory. It shuts off pain more than anything else it does in the human body. It's
Incredible.
4 times more anti-inflammatory than NSAIDs, Tylenol, ibuprofen, Advil. And they've known it. Look at all the decades that they know rheumatism and inflammation of joints are cured with tobacco and nicotine. Okay, so now you're starting to understand why Advil would hate tobacco and nicotine, why Tylenol would hate nicotine, which was owned by Johnson & Johnson. Anyway, you'll see all these things.
Incredible. Incredible.
Oh, and how many people do you know have rheumatoid arthritis in America and are all taking prednisone every day, which is brought to you by Big Pharma, instead of being told, just go get a nicotine patch over the counter?
Incredible.
We've known this for 500 years.
Wow. So I've got a few questions here. Okay. As I'm thinking about this and looking at these, Rockefeller, these control structures. So that textbook you found is just absolutely incredible. And I think that alone shows that there's something more to this plant. Now, my question is, if you look at the cigarette companies, Philip Morris and these big cigarette companies, so probably initially they knew that what this was, they knew that it was good and they were selling tobacco to people. But then once Big Pharma, once the Rockefellers came in and seized control of the entire medical industry and built their medical industrial complex, I wonder if there was then an agenda to take all of these cigarettes and tobacco products that they were selling, snuff, chew, etc. And I wonder if there was an agenda to take those, add a bunch of poisons to them So they then had massive amount of data that show that cigarettes are leading to lung cancer, people are being killed. So then they could demonize, like if that was part of the psyop, is take a healthy drug that had a huge industry, take that industry, it purposefully taint that product to make it kill people, so they could then create this global, century-long campaign of demonizing not the chemicals they're putting on the cigarettes or dipping the filters in, but demonizing the drug itself that they can't allow to be used widely in the populace.
Oh, that's already happened. In fact, in my book that we've talked about on your show, Moving Beyond COVID-19 Lies, specifically in chapter 13, I show you a research study that was published by the University of Harvard, which I think a lot of people know who that is. Harvard published in 2016 a document after reading 7 million pages of research and development documents from the tobacco giants of America. And they got the 7 million pages from the FDA when they filed a FOIA request for all those documents. And what they discovered was over the last 50 years, the FDA has a list of 599 chemicals that are allowed to be added to tobacco products sold and manufactured by these big tobacco giants. Now, my question for you is this. The only chemical you will see on the front, side, back of the label of every tobacco product sold in America is one
nicotine.
Singular chemical called nicotine. And the FDA and the mainstream media made sure you knew that this is now classified as a drug. It's a drug. No, it isn't. It's a nutrient. It is definitely a nutrient like vitamin C in oranges. How come there are 599 different chemicals that man-made companies are allowed to add to every tobacco leaf made into snuff, made into dip, made into cigarettes, chew? Why are 599 chemicals made by man allowed to be added to every tobacco product? But why do they only single out nicotine, which is a natural substance found in that plant, to be the only one they demonize on the label? And then I have a question for you and everyone watching. Can you name 5 of the 599 man-made chemicals on the list the FDA has that Harvard reviewed and published in 2016? Can you at home name 5 of those chemicals? Can you at home name 15 of those chemicals? Because I can. 15 of them are called pyrazines, methylpyrazines. Pyrazine is always in the word of the chemical. Pyrazine, Pyrazines. In Harvard's paper, it's titled, Pyrazines May Be Responsible for the Addictive Quality of Tobacco Products. Because in those 7 million pages that you and I and everyone listening have never read, only the researchers at Harvard did, when they read those papers, they learned that in 1970, chemists had consulted the tobacco giants and told them, if you want to make your products addictive and get more people to buy them, all you have to do is add man-made chemicals called pyrazines to your product, and everyone on earth that uses them will be addicted to them and will keep buying them. And that's exactly what they've done ever since. So if you can't name the 599 chemicals that are in the tobacco products made in America that are approved by the FDA, and the whole list is on the FDA's website right now, if you don't know what that list is, I'd like to ask you a question. Can you confidently tell me that none of those chemicals that you don't know the name of aren't responsible for the lung cancer, responsible for the dementia, responsible for the detrimental health effects you are seeing promoted as being a result of only nicotine found in tobacco products? And this is my next thing for all of you. I was shocked to learn this 3.5 years ago. Seth, lying is not just telling some alternate truth. Lying is also include a definition of just withholding information. Exactly. So the FDA and the mainstream media and medical mafia have actually withheld a truth from all of you that should shock you. Nicotine is found in the tobacco plant. In that medical history textbook, Seth, it actually introduces the reader to tobacco plants as a whole. And one of the first statements in the book reads, tobacco is a plant found in the nightshade vegetable group. Did you know tobacco was in the nightshade vegetable group? I didn't. However, I did know that all of the nightshade vegetables that we know as eggplants, tomatoes, red and green, and bell peppers, we knew, and now you're about to learn that the nightshade vegetables are the highest containing nicotine plants on earth. Tobacco's number one with the highest amount of nicotine. The second highest nicotine plant on earth is eggplants. That's the second highest plant on earth with nicotine is eggplants. Seth, name one person on the globe, if it's not flat, name one person on the globe who's addicted to eggplants.
Actually, I am. I grind up nicotine, or I grind up eggplants and I snort them. I've got a real, I carry a bag of powdered eggplant. Yeah. I get real
give out your address and let them know when you're going to be educating people on how to create their own eggplant snorting.
Let me pull something up really quickly here, because addressing the overall thing of addictiveness. Okay, so since I think probably our first interview about nicotine, maybe 2 years ago, I've got the patches. I use them on and off. I have these knickknacks, which I've found to be probably one of the cleanest forms of the nicotine. I can tell you personally that sometimes I'll go 2 weeks without putting a patch on because I forget. Or sometimes I'll go 3 weeks without having a single one of these knickknacks because I forget. I've never had withdrawal symptoms. Now, however, that's just me, anecdotal.
Steph, I'm the same way. 3.5 years right? now. I will miss 2 or 3 days in every week, and I'll just go, oh man, I forgot to put one on. You know what I don't forget? I don't forget caffeine.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We have our espressos every morning. Can I show you something real quick that I found that to me, I found this after one of our interviews. To me, this right here is the smoking gun that proves nicotine is not addictive. Okay. So this is on the NIH, right? So this is, maybe Fauci wrote this article himself. I don't know. This is a study. It was a 6-month double-blind pilot clinical trial on nicotine treatment of mild cognitive impairment. Now, in this, it says there are 74 subject results. Of 74 subjects, okay, the primary cognitive outcome measure showed a significant nicotine-induced improvement. The secondary outcome measures showed significant nicotine-associated improvements in attention, memory, psychomotor speed, and improvements were seen in patient informant ratings of cognitive impairment. Okay? So right there, they're showing us. Now, here's the kicker. So they took 74 subjects, and for 6 months, they put them on 15 milligrams per day, which is actually a much higher dose than I ever take. I know that you take, because the patches I take, I think, are 4 milligrams. So they put 74 subjects on 15 milligrams a day for 6 months. Now, hold on. Let's take a look.
1 cigarette, by the way, everybody. 1 cigarette has 1 milligram. So this is the same as 15 a pack of cigarettes a day.
Okay, now here, this is the killer. The kicker, I guess, not the killer. At the very end, they say, no withdrawal symptoms were reported by subjects or informants, nor were any subjects reported to be continuing to use nicotine after the study was completed. If this stuff was addictive as they said it would, this would say, instead of that, it would say 85% of subjects reported difficulty stopping to using nicotine due to its addictive nature. However, for 74 people that were given the equivalent of 15 cigarettes every single day for 6 months, this study on the NIH points out that there were no withdrawal symptoms, nor did any subjects have any issue stopping the use of nicotine. I mean, to me, that's the smoking gun. I'm sure you've got a lot of smoking guns too, but like, it's right there.
The exact same conclusions were published by the nicotine patch study authors for those with long COVID. And that was only a 6-day study with nicotine patches. Nobody had withdrawals. Nobody had the want to continue using nicotine. They just went on about their lives without any symptoms remaining after 6 days of using nicotine patches. This is even greater. 74 people over 6 months, 15 cigarettes a day. I mean, seriously, how many of you have read a research study saying that we gave meth and heroin for 6 months straight to people, and when we told them to stop the study, they never wanted heroin or meth ever again?
Yeah.
What you should have thought you were going to read was that all of them ended up in rehab trying to get off of the nicotine addiction.
Of course.
And going through their horrific withdrawals. Just so y'all know, you've all been lied to about nicotine and its addictive quality. That is not even the case. So I use nicotine every day for 3.5 years. now, and I've never, and so many days I forget to do it. And in the afternoon, usually it's in the afternoon when I'm into like my 10th research study that I'm combing through, because I just love diving into research studies. Why? Because the medical journals, the editors, and the pharmaceutical industries that fund them make sure they deceive you in the summary abstracts of the studies to make sure you don't go in there and read them. I love going in and reading them all and finding those nuggets inside of them that they don't want all of you to find. So as I'm reading like the 10th one every single day, if I forgot my nicotine patch that morning, which happens 2 or 3 times every week, come 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm like, wait a minute, something's wrong. How come I'm not processing this information as fast? Oh, crap, I forgot my nicotine patch. And I got to go walk back to my bathroom, put on my patch again. And I'm like, oh, about 30 minutes later, I'm like, oh, there's my brain. There's the speed at which it's normally firing at since I've been using this incredible nutrient God gave us and all these plants. In fact, an example would be Medical News Today last year published an article titled, "Can Dietary Nicotine Prevent Parkinson's?" Now, just by definition alone, the word dietary nicotine, who's eating nicotine? Well, if you have to read the article, but the article tells you that if you eat nightshade vegetables that are high in nicotine, it can prevent or often cure or ameliorate all of your Parkinson's symptoms. Isn't that amazing? Well, how many drugs are being sold to the millions of Americans told they have a genetic condition called Parkinson's? And it's just genetic. There's nothing to do about it. No, they've known that tobacco can cure neurodegenerative diseases. Look at the title of the article Seth Holhouse just put on the screen. Look at this. Look at the title of that article. The title reads, "Nicotine Treatment of Mild Cognitive Impairment." How many of you have seen loved ones go into early onset dementia? How many of you know that nicotine is published to prevent and often reverse early and late stage onset Alzheimer's? Well, if you're having brain fog, you can't remember numbers and names as well as you did before, you're not getting that information processed as fast or calculating things as you used to, you should probably start using nicotine, or at least start. Me and Seth are not telling you to go out there and make sure you're buying over-the-counter nicotine products. Start eating the plants that have nicotine in them. Eat the eggplants. Red tomatoes are the second highest vegetable containing nicotine. Green tomatoes have 10 times more nicotine than red tomatoes. White potatoes are the 4th highest containing nicotine plant on earth. So go eat your cauliflower that has nicotine. Go eat your celery that has high amounts of nicotine. Go eat your bell peppers, squash, zucchini. These are all your nightshade vegetables. They all have nicotine. If you started incorporating them in your life, you're going to see your inflammation go down in your body if you eat 3 to 4 servings every week. And you're going to see your brains working better as you're putting this nutrient that is published to be a nootropic. Okay, this is very cool. The word nootropic is known to medicine and science and supplement companies for the last 20 years. Nootropic or tropic, nootropic. It means every part of the brain's function is improved with this substance. Nicotine is a nootropic. It has been known forever to be a nootropic. Look at that. Also known as a smart drug. All right. These are things that turn on the function of the brain to make it work better. Nicotine is a published nootropic by medical science. Do you want to know who that's a threat to, Seth? I do. Ritalin and Adderall manufacturers. Yep. In fact, schools throughout America are being funded and giving bribe money based on the percentage of children in middle school and high school that are put on Adderall or Ritalin. Did you know that?
No.
Did you know that state-funded schools are being bribed with additional money to present information back to the state of how many percentages of your children are on a stimulant called a nootropic, Ritalin or Adderall?
But aren't
the higher those numbers, the more money that school gets.
Aren't Ritalin and Adderall, if I remember correctly, they're basically like small dose controlled methamphetamine.
Yes, they are.
It's like the same mechanisms, maybe the same chemical foundation.
Yep.
And I can happily say I've never in my entire life tried Ritalin or Adderall. I had friends in school that were snorting it, especially come exam time, they were all taking this stuff. I avoid that kind of stuff, thankfully.
So as you watch kids in school, that's where you got the idea with the eggplant in the cafeteria. I'm going to
Oh
snort
yeah.
this
Oh
eggplant so I
yeah.
can look cool.
Yeah.
I know.
I got busted in the bathroom one time for smoking eggplant. Okay, I'm joking. For people that don't get my humor, it's very dry sarcasm. So, I want to talk about. Well, okay, two other angles to this. One is dosage recommendations for people that are listening to this, and then the other is getting into the mechanisms of like how does nicotine affect our body? It's the cells, nicotine receptors, some of that kind of stuff, because that's very fascinating to me. But first off, and let's just hit dosage. I'll share my own experience. So I got my patches. My wife and I got our patches. There's a company called Secrets of Eden. I'll put the link in the description. They've got on here, it's called Miracle Patches That Heal. I've found that because they come kind of pre-cut up into the right size. I think they're like 3.5 to 4 milligrams each. And the guy that runs this website, I know him. He's a great guy. He's tried to source like very good quality. So this is what I get personally. So you can get them on Amazon, etc. We do have a promo code Seth. So I think there's like a 20% discount or 10% or something like that. So I'll put those links in the description. That's what that's what my wife and I personally use. And also I use these knickknacks. So I like the knickknacks because I get them in 6 milligrams, but what I'll do is I'll take one and if there's little lozenges, I'll take it, I'll break off a little chunk. So it's like, okay, that's about 2 milligrams. That's it. And I'll kind of pop it in my cheek and it dissolves. And I typically will take one of those if I'm getting ready for an interview sometimes. It's not like my brain sucks without nicotine. My brain's normal without it, right? But my brain, I guess, normally is pretty slow and sluggish. I just, played too many video games as a kid, perhaps. But taking say 2 milligrams like that or having the patch on, I just noticed it's just like this little boost. Like that's what it is. It's actually a lot more mild than caffeine. Caffeine's like, whoosh, and then you kind of fall. I find that this, especially the patches, which are very slow release, you just find that it'll be 3 o'clock and you'll be like, oh, I've just had a lot of extra energy today. And I feel like I'm really focused in my conversations and I feel pretty good. And the other thing too is if I feel like I'm coming down with something, I will make sure at that time that I'm much more diligent with the nicotine. And unless I'm, I got poisoned recently from my cleaning out my goat shed, which is a whole different story. Biodefense was something I used in that process. But typically that's how I use it, right? So anyway, what is your process? How do you recommend?
Yeah, I want to. I think it's just a great topic to even hit on and remind people. We just showed you a study from 2012 when we were highlighting Eliquis being prescribed as the third most revenuing drug in the world. We showed you that study from 2012 where they were breaking down all the components of the tobacco plant, including nicotine and others. But what it says is the health benefits include that it's antimicrobial. Okay, now everybody in the world, all of you are convinced you need hand sanitizer everywhere you go to prevent microbes.
Yeah, which I'm convinced kills that biome that's really healthy for you, but that's a different story.
It does. It absolutely does.
I don't touch that stuff.
Biofilm. There's a biofilm that lives on your skin that helps keep you healthy. And they're stripping that off with the alcohol laced inside of Purell and all the other antimicrobial agents. All right, so tobacco and nicotine, as you read in that article, is antimicrobial. So as the world is using antibacterial soaps, antibacterial hand sanitizers, the next word was nicotine and tobacco is antibacterial. All right, well, how many of you rush to the ER to get antibiotics for your kids for any bacterial infection ever? And they blame 90% of every infection ever and every symptom on bacteria, so they're going to throw antibiotics at everything. Nicotine and tobacco are antibacterial. Then it says it's also antifungal, which would be candida, yeast, mold, brewer's yeast included. All right, well, if you battle toe fungus, that is not a tough actin tenactin deficiency, as John Madden would have had you convinced if you watched football back in the 80s and 90s. No, it is not a tenactin drug deficiency. It's actually nicotine would cure you.
Well, about UTIs, right? UTIs are oftentimes yeast-based, right?
Exactly. Oh, and often very much so bacteria also, yeah. So I just want to tell you all the reason why I wear a 3.5 to 5 milligram nicotine size patch every single day, and why he's saying before his interviews he'll take a little bit of his knick-knack, a few milligrams, or if he's starting to feel like he's coming down with something, he'll make sure he's doing his nicotine every day, is because nicotine in the tobacco plant has been found to be antiviral, antifungal, antibacterial, antiparasitic. It actually helps prevent and overcome almost every illness created by any pathogen that you could assume is creating your symptoms. So if I'm going to be bombarded with mysterious bacteria, maybe from somebody at an event, worried about fungus and mold in a hotel room or in my home or in the water or wherever, I always am trying to remember to take nicotine every single day. I don't think about it every day, but I do make sure it's with me every day when I travel because I'm wearing it as much as possible, as often as I can remember, to try to prevent from getting sick from any of these conditions. Why? Because I have a lot of work to do, and I love doing my work, and I love doing my job, and I love hanging out with my kids, and I love being active. I don't want to be in a bed feeling sick when I don't have to. So to speed up the recovery, to boost my immunity, I always make sure I wear nicotine. So in the realm of nicotine, most people are very nicotine naive, especially since 1994 when this lie came out. The FDA was bribed to publish a lie that states nicotine is a highly addictive substance and put it on every product ever. Make sure everybody sees it in America. So we've all known that lie. So I tell everybody who is nicotine naive, tobacco naive, and has never used their products, I recommend you starting with about 1 milligram a day for a week. Now, all of you out there, you're not going to find a 1 milligram piece of gum for nicotine gum. You're not going to find a 1 milligram suck it mint. You're not going to find a 1 milligram patch. So please don't write into Man in America's podcast email, info@maninamerica, and write, I can't find 1 milligram patches, 1 milligram gum like Dr. Ardis said. No, you can use your common sense and rationale and do what Seth just showed you. You can bite the mint into smaller pieces. You can cut the patch into smaller pieces. You can break the gum tablet in half if you'd like to. They come in 2 milligram sizes. If you bite it in half, you're roughly going to get 1 milligram. Is it a perfect science cutting these things? No, just cut it. It's just going to be less. So anywhere between 1 milligram to 3 milligrams for the first week, I recommend for all people older than 2 years old. And yes, I said that, older than 2. I recommend that. So 1 milligram, anybody 2 and older. Once you go to 18 and older, I think 3 milligrams is fine a day. And you can start there for a week. But anybody can start at 1 milligram for a week, then go up to 3 milligrams. You're going to realize you have been pummeled your entire life with poisons that actually bind to nicotine receptors of all cells in the human body. And nicotine, when you put it in the body, detoxes all those poisons, venoms, bacterias, parasites, you name it. And your body's going to start detoxing all of them. Remember this, people. This is very important, Seth. That 2012 article is really important. They tell you that tobacco and nicotine is antimicrobial. That means it kills bacteria. It's antibacterial, meaning it kills bacteria. They say it's antifungal, meaning it removes and kills fungus. Then they say it's antiparasitic and it kills parasites. Have any of you out there ever tried a parasite cleanse or detox?
I have. I know what comes out with those things.
You will often feel what is called in the medical community and health community a Herxheimer reaction, where you are sick from the die-off of these parasites in your body. So you'll often hear, oh, you'll feel worse before you feel better. Okay, just so you know, that's not the negative. When people are eating food that has food poisoning, Seth, have you ever had food poisoning?
Oh, yeah.
While eating the meal, everything is hunky-dory and everything feels great.
Oh, that Chipotle taco was beautiful one day. 3 hours later, oh my goodness. Or I got a local chili dog from a little hot dog stand. Oh my, I still can't go back there.
Yeah, but you felt horrible later, right? Eating it was okay. Everything felt fine.
Oh, eating it was great. Yeah.
Yeah, and you go home, it tasted amazing, and then all of a sudden your whole world is shattered, and you're now on the toilet or on the floor, you're on your knees, you're vomiting, diarrhea, whatever. And that whole experience is horrific. However, how do you feel after it's all over? You're going to be exhausted, but very soon after that, you're going to feel a million times better. So you did feel worse before you felt better. And God designed the human body to excrete poisons from it by vomiting and diarrheaing it out. And why God made your body do it that way, I don't know. Go complain to him at Judgment Day. Me and Seth did not design this stuff. This is just how you're designed. And when you put tobacco or nicotine in your body for the first time at any dose, it doesn't matter, your body's going to start detoxing parasites, bacteria, fungi, and poisons and spike proteins from COVID out of your body. Do you think it's going to always be pleasant? Was it pleasant for Seth 8 hours after eating that chili dog? No,
No.
Would it have been worse possibly if his body just said, you know what? Uh, take your sphincter, Seth, in your anus and put a cork in it and keep the poison in there. It would be better than doing the diarrhea dance on the toilet. No, that would not be better. It's better to get the poisons out. It's going to be better for your life also to use these small doses of nicotine over time. I'm 3.5 years in. Right now, I'm doing 5 milligram patches every single day. I buy 21 milligram patches, cut them into 4 equal sizes, and I wear one every single day. But for the first 3 years, I was only doing 3 milligrams. Now I'm doing 5. Maybe in a couple of years, I'll go up to 7, and I can cut them into 3 pieces, the 21 milligrams, or I can buy the 7 milligram size patches. It doesn't matter. I just recommend people start slowly because we've all been bombarded with chemicals, toxins, pathogens, and your body needs to get rid of them. And foreign proteins, which are called viruses and spike proteins, they're foreign to you, and nicotine releases them from your cells. And it's not going to always be comfortable. In fact, in science, they call it, in the medical journals, they call it viremia symptoms. When you start nicotine, you might, in the first 3 days of any doses, 1 milligram up to 7 milligrams, you might feel feverish for 20 minutes at a time, and then it go down. Like you'll get really hot and sweaty, then it will calm down 20 minutes later. You might feel that way. That is a viremia symptom. You might get nauseous. You might want to throw up. Those are viremia symptoms. You might have that in the first few days. That's because it's a very powerful detoxer of chemicals and poisons and pathogens that many of us are living with every day. And I find my entire life is enhanced. My immunity is enhanced anytime I benefit from using and remembering to use my nicotine patches. And for you, it might be mint. For you, it might be gum. My wife chews nicotine gum 4 2 milligram tablets every day and has for 3.5 years now. She has no plans on stopping, and she wears a nicotine patch. She just loves it. And she has felt better and has been sick less often than she's ever been the entire 15 years I've known her.
Incredible. So as we're closing up, we're hitting on 1 hour. I want to be mindful of your time. One thing is I will put the link to where I get my patches at in the description with the promo code information. The other thing is that you have an event coming up that I want to make sure we talk about before we end. Healing of the Ages. So far I've had Ardis Group and Ely. I'm yet to have Schmidt on as a guest, but I think we're lining that up. And I think I've got Dr. Group and Dr. Ely also coming on soon as well, which is great. I'd probably say, between the three of you I've met, my favorite doctors to talk to, like absolutely incredible. So tell us about this Healing for the Ages event. Where is it at? Can people watch it remotely if they don't want to travel to Dallas? Give us the information on this.
Well, you just gave it away where it's at. It's in Dallas, Texas. You were right. So here in Dallas, October 23rd, 24th, and 25th is our annual Healing for the Ages conference. This will be our 3rd year. It's going to be a 3-day event versus the prior 2 days events because we are structuring this the way that many of our reoccurring attendees and ticket holders have requested to have it lay out. So we have actually added a few new speakers last year in 2024. This year, everyone had stated they really liked learning from the 4 of us founding doctors, Dr. Ardis Group, Ely, and Schmidt, more than all the other people. So what we've done is we're going to have on Thursday, October 23rd, we're inviting 6 experts in health that we look up to, and they are going to be presenting on day 1 for 6 hours straight, 1-hour presentations, and then we're going to do a live Q&A on the stage with us 4 docs with the speakers, and we're going to open that up for a Q&A for everybody there. Then on Friday and Saturday, it's going to be the 4 doctors, Dr. Ardis Group, Ely, and Schmidt. We'll be doing 2-hour presentations on how to make yourself healthy again. If you go to healingfortheages.com, use the code Seth, you will save discounts on the virtual attendees who want to watch it digitally from home, who cannot afford or don't have the time to travel, or those who would like to come in person. The discount applies to you if you want to buy an in-person ticket. Now, just so you know, we last year had 700 attendees, which sold out. This year, we've reduced it to 600 because 700 was just a little bit more than the intimate feeling that we are trying to accomplish in our Q&As and our ability to move and discuss and interact with people in the room. So we've reduced it down to 600. First year was 300. Last year was 700. We're going down to 600. We want to see, does this feel more intimate and more, unified. We'll see. We just don't want it to be too big. But virtual, we had 15,000 people live watching from all around the world last year, which was really exciting. So for those of you, go to healingfortheages.com to learn more. Let me tell you what it is you can look for from me. So I'm going to be doing a presentation on the Friday and Saturday, which is October 23rd and 24th. I have decided to do something I've never done before. It's something I do every day on behalf of my patients while I was in practice, my wife, my kids. I do it all the time, but I just have never presented it to people. It's going to be published. It will have a booklet for all those who come. My presentations will be in booklet form, and we're going to give you all a booklet when you come. And you are going to be able to have this as a reference for you going home. Everybody digital, you will actually get an emailed copy that you can download where you can get that whole reference and have it on your computer at home. What I'm going to walk every person through is how to read the 8 primary and most common blood tests. So you have a CBC, you have a metabolic panel, you have a lipid panel, right? You have a hormone panel. I'm going to take you through all of the 8 most common medical blood tests and those reports you're going to get back from your medical doctor. And I'm going to teach you how to read them. I'm actually going to take you through what every single one of those markers on all of those most common blood tests are and what they mean. So when you see ALT, AST, HDL, LDL, I'm actually going to define for you what that is. Then, while you wait for your medical doctor for your future blood test to have his consultation with you, all of you from the Healing for the Ages team are going to have this little booklet and a little PDF at home for all the virtual viewers. You're all going to have this document that is already going to have told you what are the natural cures to correct those biomarkers on your blood panel. What your medical doctor is going to prescribe to you, if your LDL is high, they're going to recommend a statin drug like Lipitor. What you're going to see in my booklet is I'm going to show you research studies that a specific dose of an extract from a tree called Google resin extract outperforms cholesterol drugs at normalizing cholesterol. I'm going to walk you through every single metric that is measured on a blood panel, the 8 most common blood tests you're ever going to see from your medical doctor, your life insurance company, your health insurance company. I'm going to walk you through what are the natural published antidotes to correct every single one of those. And you're going to have this very convenient reference guide so that you don't have to wonder, do I really need this drug, or is there some other option for me, medical doctor, who's telling me I just need this drug to help me heal? And that is going to be just one of the resources there. But on day 1, I'm going to teach you how to read all of these 8 blood panels or blood reports commonly ordered by your medical doctor and professionals. And then day 2 is going to be me walking you through what are all the natural antidotes and their doses published in science that are referenced in the guides that we're going to be providing. I will be providing, and Healing for the Ages will be providing to you and all those that attend. What an incredible gift that I thought would be really empowering to people to start understanding and realizing they themselves have the power to make themselves healthy again. They don't have to rely on prescriptions from their medical doctor to wait to go to Rite Aid, CVS, Walgreens, Walmart, Schwegmans, wherever you live in the country. You don't have to go to their pharmacy or Walmart or Target to get a drug to offer you hope. The hope's already found in nature. So we're going to teach you how nature and God have already provided the antidotes, just like we did here with tobacco and that medical textbook. All the cures that God gave us and infused in the life around us that he designed, which was the minerals in our dirt, the plants that use those minerals in the dirt to make our vitamins, and then those vitamins provide life and essence to all the animals that consume them, all the humans that consume them. And this is really how the cycle of life occurs and how it was designed. What science and man have decided is they can profit more off of your misery if they just lie to you about nature around you and as God designed it. Number 1, they needed to convince you that God was fallible and he screwed up when he designed the human body. And he forgot one huge thing when he completed day 6. The pharmaceutical industry and the American medical industry and the worldwide medical industry need you convinced that God forgot an immune system to fight off disease and infections. Which is why from the time you are born in America, or your children are born, or your grandchildren are born in America, within 24 hours, a man of science is standing there with a white coat and a mask on in the hospital, telling you that within the first 24 hours of this baby's entire life on this earth has to be injected with a vaccine called the hepatitis B vaccine to prevent a hepatitis B virus infection. God did not screw up. That baby is as perfect as you believe it is when you count its 10 fingers and its 10 toes. It is perfect, just as you see it. Do not fall victim to the lie of the man standing next to you who's regurgitating a lie they learned in medical school. Your baby and every baby born in America needs the hepatitis B virus vaccine. No, they don't. God did not screw up and forget that. The body is designed perfectly. And for all of you out there, no baby should ever be vaccinated ever before the age of 3 years old. And I'm going to say that ever, 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 ever. Why? Vaccines are promoted as an artificial immunity to inject your baby from day one with something that the baby's immune system can now make antibodies for lifelong immunity. Did you know that the nervous system of a baby, every baby born on this earth, not a single human, has the ability to make antibodies until they're 3 years old? So why would you inject any baby before the age of 3 with anything to get it to make any kind of antibodies? The nervous system of the baby is never fully developed to produce its own antibodies and defenses until after 3. This is why breastfeeding is so important. The longer you breastfeed, the more antibodies the mom's body is producing and putting into the baby. This is why, I'm not saying there's anything wrong here, but this is why the formula discussion, feeding your baby formula versus breastfeeding, is so ridiculous. From formula, you can never give the natural immunity to the baby. That formula is not manufactured in the same room that baby's sleeping in, but the mom lives in the same house as the baby, and the mom knows what the baby's being exposed to: mold, parasites, bacteria, and that body, who's in the same environment, knows what antibodies to produce and supply in the breast milk to the baby for the first 3 years of its life. And yes, if you breastfeed your baby for 1 full year, they've already done this research. They know that the antibodies to prevent infection last another 2 years in that baby's bodies if you just did it fully for 1 year. You do not need to vaccinate any child ever before the age of 3. And it's, to me, a demonic thing to do, is to inject chemicals, poisons. And anybody out there who believes, they still think it's a good idea to vaccinate their babies or grandchildren. And if there's medical professionals watching this, you think it's a good idea to vaccinate a baby for hepatitis B virus. On day 1, I'd like to ask you a personal question. Can you name the several different brands of hepatitis B vaccines? Do you know how many brand named hepatitis B vaccines are there? Do you know that 2 of them, of the different brands of hepatitis B vaccines, 2 of them, the first ingredient on the label is MRC-5? And do you know what MRC-5 is? If you are convinced that every baby still needs a hepatitis B vaccine because it's just what you've always done and it's what the textbook said, and I was quizzed on it in med school and I got it right, I got the A, I got the degree, therefore I was right, I learned right, they need a hepatitis B virus vaccine. Okay, do you know what MRC-5 is? I think Seth Holhouse should look it up and educate you on what MRC-5 is. You should Google it, Wikipedia it, and read the first paragraph only of what MRC-5 is, because if you haven't read this, you absolutely have no clue what you were talking about when you're recommending hepatitis B vaccines.
MRC5 is a human diploid cell line widely used in the production of viral vaccines derived from lung tissue of a 14-week-old male fetus. It's known for supporting the growth of various viruses and being sterile. They've been.
All right, so let's just skip here. This is not the definition from Wikipedia. However, it does include correctly that this is MRC-5 is human cells derived from the lung tissues of a 14-month-old fetus. Oh, just so y'all know, this is an aborted white male. So this is a murdered 14-week-old baby whose cells were extracted from its dead lungs in 1966. So I have a question for you. Hepatitis B, the virus, supposedly infects the liver. I'd like to know, Seth Holhouse, if anybody out there can explain to me how lung tissue from a baby murdered in 1966 helps my baby beat a viral infection of the liver.
Doesn't
And
make
anybody
any
out there got
sense.
a problem with abortion? Anybody out there pro-life? I don't know. Are you? If you are you okay with injected abortal fetal tissue from 1966? And did your medical doctor and pediatrician or your OBGYN standing there in the hospital room tell you your baby needs lung cells injected inside of it from a baby, a white male that was born in 1966 to prevent hepatitis B virus infection? Did they tell you that? Well, just so you know, your medical doctors, you would find out if you asked any questions about any vaccines that they are promoting and shaming you and judging you for refusing. If you just asked a few simple questions, you will realize they are the most ignorant humans on earth, meaning they are the most uneducated people on this field and of expertise called vaccinology. They know less about the vaccines they promote than you do now watching Man in America.
Insane. Well, Dr. Ardis, somehow it feels like it's a good point to end on. Don't vaccinate your babies until 3. And my kids, even post 3, not being touched. And I will say that my wife, so we've got about a 19-month-old, and she is still guzzling down the breast milk, and she's just a healthy, very healthy little baby. And also too, what I learned is that when the baby actually attaches to the nipple, that the baby, part of its microbiome, communicates and sends the information back to the mother. So that connection goes both ways. And then that's how the mother's body knows what antibodies are needed, what other things are needed. So,
don't you remember, Seth?
Yeah.
Seth, don't you remember back in high school when you were watching all your buddies snorting meth and you were snorting eggplant? Don't you remember trying to share a soda with each other? And one of the guys was like, dude, you just backwashed into that soda can.
Or they'll take it and they'll wipe it off and
Right. So they're like, no, I don't want that last swig because I know it's got backwash in it. Yes, when the baby's sucking on the nipple, it is getting that backwash from its own saliva, providing information to the baby, the mother's immune system, to then produce the antibodies to help protect that baby. This is the miraculousness of breastfeeding.
Oh, yeah.
That so many of us overlook and are now conditioned to believe that all women should be working, which is fine if you want to work, and you should just be hiring a wet nurse or going to a breast milk bank. I mean, you can do that, but nothing is as powerful, as connective, as beautiful as breastfeeding your own child.
Yeah,
which I've never done
agree.
because I'm a male, but I have 5 children, all of which were breastfed, not formula fed, and 4 of them are now adults, and none of them have ever been vaccinated ever. And they're all adults and all healthy and all been to public school and all been to universities, and none of them have ever needed a vaccine ever. And neither do your kids.
Good for you. Dr. Ardis, thank you. This was more mind-blowing than I expected. I really enjoyed going through that medical the historical kind of documentation of tobacco. All the links that we talked about, I'll make sure that I put those into the description. I'll put the links to your presentations in there. I'll put the links to the Healing for the Ages with the promo code. I'll put the links to the tobacco that I get. I'll put the links to your book, Moving Down the COVID-19 Lines.
Discusses all the nicotine research.
There we go. And we'll have all that for everybody. Thank you again for coming on. Thank you for what you're doing. It's always a blast talking to you.
It's always an honor to hang out with the man in America, my buddy. Have a great afternoon, Seth.
You too. Thank you. That it's growing, that it'll be enough for your retirement. But what if it's not? Here's the truth most people never hear. Your 401k was never designed to make you wealthy. It was created in a corporate boardroom to shift retirement costs and investment risk onto you. Designed to keep your money trapped, exposed to Wall Street crashes, inflation, and uncertainty you can't control. Until now. Right now, Americans are taking back control by turning to real assets like gold and silver. Noble Gold Investments has helped thousands protect their future by converting part of their retirement savings into physical gold and silver so they can stop worrying about the market and start sleeping better at night. So talk to Noble Gold today and learn how safe and easy it is to roll over your 401k into a tax-advantaged precious metals IRA without penalties or headaches. Visit goldwithseth.com or call 626-654-1906 to get your free wealth protection kit, including a step-by-step guide to get started. It's time to get your money out of the danger zone and into something real. Again, that's 626-654-1906 or goldwithseth.com.